Yo,
But
I'm gonna talk all kinds of trash about Fella Pat, but this is gonna be a roast right here, yeah?
But who?
So how come BTLT isn't crap, yeah? Yo, the way Red Sea abused him, oh my god, yo. You think he's okay?
Do I think he's okay?
You heard from him?
From Israel?
Yeah.
He thinks he won, bro. Wait, I didn't even see it. What'd she say?
Yo, I just stopped watching, bro. I couldn't see it no more. I was just like, nah, this is
What, I thought you didn't agree with communists.
Huh? I'm just having fun with just because.
I thought you was for real.
I don't even know what they said. Yeah, I don't remember. I was just too busy fucking around in the chat. Yo, so we could talk about that. Yo, check it out, man. Yo, that pillow's coming in soon, man. I'll show you when it comes in. Yeah. The Belle Delphine pillows. That's from Mr. Wilson, who doesn't like to share. Yeah.
Shout out, Mr. Wilson. Shout out, Prop.
Yeah.
Yo, bro. Big talk, little talk too, yo. That's my man's.
Yo, so what's up, guys? So, anyways, what am I talking about? We are talking about yo, shout me out, man. Say what's up.
Yo, shout out to DJ Elf, man. That's the homie, bro.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy DJ L7. Today I got a very special guest. My boy, we've been hanging out for a bunch of times. We've seen each other, on each other's like streams we've been trying to get up. We've talked once before, haven't really done the full interview online. Here we go. Yeah, but I'll let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
I am your man Marcus Cage, also known as Young Morpheus. I'm kind of known more in the Twitter circles, but I have 3 YouTube channels, which I kind of try to manage all at the same time. I first started out with what I've been thinking to just kind of get out some of the political ideas that I've had. Since I have a background in doing a little bit of local politics, a little bit of activism, and I'm a veteran also. So all of those things combined, I just wanted to first start kind of voicing my opinion. And then as that started to grow and having more interviews, I started to want to be more and more prepared. So the research and stuff, which I did, leaded me into all kind of other avenues. So that's what led into my second channel, The Political Matrix, where we get a little bit more edgy and we talk about topics which sometimes are a little bit off rails and can kind of be areas where some people are a little bit nervous to go into. So we'll talk about them, have fun. We're not there to change anybody's ideas, but we're just there to get everybody to think about things and just re-examine. And then this new one is kind of going more into some of my faith issues. I am a Hebrew Israelite, and so I have a, deep love and mixture of fear of the Bible. And so I guide a lot of my principles by life and justice and how I treat people off of those things. So that's kind of a mixture of who I am as far as the, social media, persona of me. But, there's so many more layers to get into.
Hey, that's cool, man. That's a really that's a great description of yourself, actually. The spiritual side of it is something that I am actually embraced myself. So I'm excited to talk to you about some of those things. Also about your activism. So the thing is, I guess for you, if you had to like put those things on maybe like a, priority list, yeah, would maybe religion or activism, like which one would be maybe first?
Well, I feel that they're kind of, for me, it's a kind of, intermingled in a sense. Before probably this year or so, in the last years when I've done a lot more, getting closer and deeper into my faith. But before that, I was more of an activist and more into history and politics and just noticing all the injustices which went on throughout the Americas, throughout basically the world in general. And being former military, it made me more, aware of what was going on in other countries also, instead of just focusing domestically. And I was stationed overseas in Europe also for a couple of years. So being involved in seeing the Mediterranean and living in Italy and Spain and all kind of other countries. And then also in high school, I had a lot of refugee students from Kosovo and Bosnia. And so that also kind of gave me a different look at what it's like for people my own age who are going through war-torn countries. And so I started having more of a empathetic nature to people who are going through all of these different things. And as I learned more and more, and then got more involved in causes, and then joined the military, the more I was able to actually interact with people in their own homelands and hear, an unfiltered view of, what they're seeing and experiencing, without the, kind of glossed over, Americanized, TV version.
Sure. So what I hear so far is I hear a story of kind of like a political awakening. But how was that really coupled with, or was maybe you said maybe the religious awakening came later? And how have those things really fused together? I guess at some point there had to be a fusion because it wasn't purely together, right? I guess one came before the other.
No.
No. Okay, so explain
Well,
this. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd always kind of looked at it as religion kind of was here, and I kind of separate my religion from my political fight. And I didn't realize some of it was intermingled. I guess I'll explain a little bit more. The sense of in the Bible how it says you're supposed to treat your neighbor, that you're supposed to love thy neighbor as thyself. And so in doing that, if you see someone else as like a representation of yourself going through troubles, you would want somebody to look out for you and to fight for you. It also talks about the widow, and it talks about like, single parents
Wait,
and
wait, wait,
people
wait.
who
Well,
were
I'm sorry,
down
I'm
on
sorry.
their luck in poverty.
Let me
Yeah.
just okay. So before you had this story about like helping people who are down on their luck, stuff like that, right? I mean, this is also a story of that. Now, did you have personal experiences where yourself, where you were down on your luck and you needed other people's help and things like that, where maybe that made those stories come into highlight for you? Because there's a lot of stories in the Bible, right? But it seems like you decided to
Yeah, yeah,
focus
yeah.
on certain ones, right? So why did
Well,
you? Yeah, go
well,
ahead.
no, that's a great observation. I guess I never really thought about it. I myself grew up with in a single parent household, to a single mom, and so I got to understand what it's like for a young mother, because my mom was 20 at the age when she had me, and then she had my brother like shortly after. So having two kids at a young age, um, seeing her different struggles. I mean, when we were younger, she had a very good career, and for just moral reasons, she didn't feel right about some of the practices of that business. Um, I won't say the exact business, but she worked for a research hospital. And some of the treatment of the animals that they were testing it was just really rough for her to deal with. And I understand that. And so she left that job. It paid good money, but when she went on the other, I guess, avenues, she just wasn't paid quite as much. So we struggled, growing up. We went through, evictions. We went through not having lights. We went through trying to stay. And I grew up in Kansas City, so it gets cold during the winter, and
Yeah.
so we've had to, keep the stove open to heat the house because we didn't have electricity. We've had to, live off canned goods, like all kind of stuff. Live with different family members, so being a person who was going through some of those things, I think it did probably imprint on, my experiences, and be able to see that, in other people who were dealing with it also.
Cool. So interesting because I also went through similar experiences, and the people who helped me out during those times when they really had no reason to help me out, right? Those are the people who inspired me. So it was really those people more than actually the religious, religion itself. But a lot of people were religious, and that was cool with me. And I respected it. You know what I mean? Some people thought they were too good for it, or these religious people were dumb for helping me out. I said, "Fuck you! These people are cool as hell." You know what I mean? These people are awesome. So that was my experience. Very cool, man. Very cool. So go
Yeah.
ahead. So you were talking. I just wanted to just clear that up, right? The reason why. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you were telling us about
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I believe that I try to be as open as I can on most things, because if something I'm saying might connect to somebody out there and they might be
Right.
able to understand
But
and follow down the path. Yeah.
Originally, what I really wanted to see was I see your pathway towards a political awakening, as you told me the stories of, the kids that grew up and you saw different things. But I didn't really understand the fusion of that or the. I did hear some things about Italy and stuff like that. Yeah, Italy has a lot of history with Christianity, right? So, but I didn't hear that journey pathway through the religious awakening as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, as a child, I grew up in a deeply religious family and also a very political family.
What type of religion?
I vividly.
What type of Christianity?
It would be, I would say, probably Baptist for the most part, but I did go to Catholic Mass also. And I had an uncle who was an AME Zion Methodist Episcopal pastor. That's African Methodist Episcopal.
Why did you go to Catholic Mass? Was it like something your mom wanted you to go to and experience, or you want to check it out, or what was that?
Yeah, I mean, I had certain friends and other family members who had different faiths, so I would just kind of try to check it out to see the differences in the services and see if there was a different message which I might understand here, which is different from the other places. And
interesting. Okay, cool.
And so I always had that religious upbringing from a very, very early age. I mean, I literally remember going to church like every day of the week. And on Sundays, we would get there like almost before sun up.
And this was at the Baptist church?
Baptist. Sunday school, early morning service, afternoon service. Then we would have BTU also in the evening. And so like Sunday, we'd be there all day. And once I got to an age where I guess maybe 13, 14, my mom started letting me kind of venture more out. And
was that also a way for your Was it also a way for your mom to like keep you like in an after school activity, while she was at work and stuff like that, or?
Well, my mom kept me and my brother heavily into sports, so pretty much almost every sport you could think of, me and my brother played.
Cool.
My brother was even he was actually a pole vaulter also.
Oh, awesome!
I threw javelin.
That's crazy.
Football, basketball, wrestling, baseball. I mean,
where are you from? Jersey?
No, Kansas City.
Kansas. Okay, yeah. We have a lot of open space for the javelin fields. Here in New York, I don't really think they have javelin fields out here. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
that's
a
big field
and all kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a. My cousin, he grew up in Texas. He used to throw discus.
Yeah.
So, fun sport.
Yeah.
And so we had sports, I had religion, and then I remember vividly the Michael Dukakis and that race. I remember the tail ends of the Reagan era. And I also remembered, I guess it's hard to explain for some people who might be a little bit younger, but I can see different times and period where you feel an actual real kind of change in the world as a whole, where it's just, it can't go back to the way it was before that. I mean, kind of like 9/11, how there was a different feel in the world, more of an ease in a certain way. I'm not saying that things were perfect, not by a long shot, but a certain sense of safety that I feel it's never come back after 9/11. And it was the same way in those eras where, you had some small gangs and things like that. But as the crack epidemic, started to go across the neighborhoods and gangs and all that stuff, it really changed the makeup of most of the communities that we grew up in.
I always had a real skeptical view of the whole entire, whatever we were being told, because I knew that the stuff they got about Korea was all wrong. So, I knew the things that I was experiencing in my life, like they would say there's all these surveys and stuff, and I'd say, if they're doing all these surveys, how come nobody's asking me any of these questions, like where are they, I asked my friends, do they ask you in these surveys? No. Who are they calling? You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, it's real weird. So, I just didn't trust any of it.
My whole life, and I don't know any of these people who take these surveys. I mean, I'm like, who are these mythical people they find? They find, we talked to 15,000 so-called African Americans, or we talked to, 2,700 Koreans across the Jersey area. I'm like, really? Come on. Stop BSing people.
Yeah. So, are you a Tulsi supporter? I think you are, right?
Yes, I was a big fan of Tulsi, especially I know that with some people, it gets a little complicated with our military. But I feel like there is a a fine balance we have to strike between some of the conflicts we have to deal with, actual real conflicts, not jumping on every crazy thing that you see that happens in the Middle East. But there are sensible measures that we need to use, and then there is a lot of pulling back that we need to do.
Now, how many did you
I'm
get to work with?
definitely in favor.
Did you get to work with the campaign at all? Like, what's the strength of the Tulsi community out in Kansas?
Oh, well, actually, at that time, well, now I actually live in California.
Okay.
So there was definitely quite a bit of Tulsi momentum out here.
Okay, in California?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
At the time when the elections were going on, I was in the Huntington Beach, Orange County area.
Oh, okay.
And so it was definitely a good sense of Tulsi support. Now
Yeah.
I live more into the actual LA County area, and
Okay.
there still is that. Like, I feel more of the, I guess, younger groups will say Gen X, and I guess the next generation, I'm not sure what it is. Sorry for those who are that generation, but the younger generations, I'd say, that are mostly below 40, they're more open to looking at all of the politicians for their strengths and weaknesses across the board, and trying to figure out who do they feel is going to be the best representative, even if they don't agree with all the policies. I mean, for instance, there is one major gripe that I used to have with Tulsi. I'll be honest, because there's no politician which I won't criticize, but it's called a promesa, and that is a policy which the government enacted on the island of Puerto Rico, which it enacted a lot of I guess
Military testing?
for the debt situation. Well, the debt situation.
my bad.
Going there, it threw a lot of the debt back on the island and really affected the finances of the nation. And so when we had that last hurricane, because they had so many debt issues, they couldn't fix a lot of the mainframe issues. So when the hurricane hit, it just became a spiral of a bunch of problems. But overall, I feel like Tulsi, a lot of her views, I look at her as what would I say, a straight, a straight shooter. I look at her as being honest and credible, even if I don't agree with,
That's
every
cool.
single thing she does.
Yeah, I'm not trying to some people are like, oh my God, you said anything, blah, they go crazy, yeah. But just to defend the Mesa thing just a little bit, you know what I mean? If you disagree, that's fine. I have no problem with it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that when you have a corrupt system, it's hard to send more money to a corrupt system, because you're like, oh, well,
fair.
if I send you more money, they're just going to jack off more of it, you know what I mean? So you're like, why?
That's fair, because in actuality, what we had a bunch of corruption, which was found throughout the island, and it's been known for many, many years about how corrupt the governor has been, and the treasury, and a lot of the people. And it's been a lot of complaining about it for a long time. But because of the ties with like Bayer and Monsanto and a lot of those corporations which are doing business on the island, they're able to get away with a lot of things. A lot of Americans don't realize that it's something crazy, like 90% of like pharmaceuticals are actually manufactured on the island of Puerto Rico. And so they have a lot of sway from a lot of big interests. So how much control the citizens have of the government is, dubious at best.
Yeah, it's absolutely dubious. Yeah. So, cool, man. So, what about the religious awakening, though? How did that really develop?
Wow. How that developed actually kind of came really just out of left field, I would say.
So, okay.
It wasn't
Okay.
my intentions.
So, one thing that I want to say is that, okay, even though you were born up and grew up inside of the faith, right? Yeah. There's often a lot of times people might say born again. Maybe you never had that experience. Maybe you were just always in it that deep. Is that what you're saying? You were always in it that deep. You never really had, or yeah.
Not well. I was one of those kids who had a lot of questions, and there was a lot of things that didn't add up.
Okay.
that and being the fact of like I was an extremely nerdy kid. I studied about everything that I get my hands on. I literally used to read actual full volumes of encyclopedias, and that was like before we had internet. So, you know, that was just what I did in my spare time. When it was too hot outside or too cold, my grandparents didn't want us going outside or whatever. I would just read and research and study and try to learn different things.
So what made you
And
so what made you satisfied with a faith-based versus right empirical? Because you seem like such a knowledge lover. Why would you accept faith?
well, the reason why is the one thing which I noticed from the Bible that was different about everything else is when I was able to verify or the archaeology of actual the original text
Mm,
before translations and different versions like that, to be able to date it to okay, this is from at least this time period, and then be able to actually see prophetic things actually happen, which I can see in history.
Are you
That's
interpreting
what made me
days?
really
Are
no,
you?
I mean like
Mm,
literal actual people, their names being actually mentioned in the
okay.
Bible before they're born and what they're going to do,
There
you
are
know,
yeah.
hundreds of years before they're born.
There are words in the Bible that say, for instance, like a day is unto a year or something like that, right? Yeah. So you
Hmm.
recalculate days into years. Are you doing some of that math right there?
Oh, well, I had to recalculate a lot of that math in my head because, you know,
Okay.
in most typical Christianity, or I'd say, or Catholic or Protestant Christianity, which most of it kind of falls under, most traditional Christianity falls under those two umbrellas.
Do you accept a
Um,
literal definition of the Bible? So
Not well, because the Bible even tells you, it says it's written in parables, allegories, and dark sayings. And so some parts are literal, some parts are meant to be parables. And then when I was in a Christian church, I was never taught about what's called precepts. Precepts will be different verses that might refer you for extra clarification on something you might have read. And
yeah.
so,
Did I refer you to a book called
mhm.
Ishmael by Quinn?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't checked out that one.
It's an interesting, you know, interpretation of the Bible where it says that Adam and Eve, they actually showed the advent of agricultural societies, yeah, and their
Hmm.
attempt to dominate nature. And then they say Cain and Abel. Cain is actually like one of them is a hunter gatherer, and the death of that
Hmm.
old style of living versus like uh, predating off the land. And they say this is the cause of many social ills of mankind once you have the societies and those types of structures develop. So it's an interesting take, man.
Well, yeah. See, the one thing I had to understand is, um,
It also has,
depending on
yeah,
who was teaching. Uh-huh.
it
Oh
is
no, go
very,
ahead.
it has very interesting story from an activist point of view as well. It was actually, there's a guy who took over like one of the stations of CNN, and he demanded that they play like a replaying of this particular book, and this book has been spouted by eco-social stories, sometimes even eco-terrorists, supposedly, yeah, as a
Hmm.
document that they, for some reason, I've read the book. It doesn't seem like it's really that revolutionary or asking for crazy things, but for some reason it just really inspired a lot of super militant action.
Well, if you really honestly read the Bible, especially the Old Testament, it's a lot of very militant things that happen in the
Sure
Bible.
is.
Like I say, if you read the whole Bible, it is not a children's book.
It's a
It
warriors.
is
It's a warriors
it is a
religion.
warrior's
Religion.
book. I
It's a
mean,
warriors religion.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of Christians they think of like the Most High God is, oh, it's all love and peace, peace and hugs and unicorns and rainbows and it's also he says that he hates a false balance. So if things are not
Yeah.
right, he has to deal with it,
You
you
know
know.
why? Because
And he
that's the
says
bourgeoisie right there
he's a god
talking.
of war.
That's the
Oh yeah, he's a
bourgeoisie
god of
talking.
war.
Yeah. Their corporate management freaking structured meetings and shit, you know what I mean? That's what they're used to, and that's
Hmm.
what they think is godlike. That's why their God is white. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to but
Hmm.
they project what their fantasy is onto God, you know what I mean? And they're not really paying attention anymore, and they
And
stopped reading
it's
the
funny
shit.
you it's funny you would say that. I got a verse. Hold on, let me. Where's my charger? I got one verse that's perfect that I wanted to bring up. That's it's I guess I'll just quote it real quick. It's
Cool.
third Maccabees, I believe 48th verse, and it's like And the heathen, I guess I'll paraphrase, the heathen painted his image over the judges. And so it says, open the book of the law and painted his likeness over the judges. So basically, what that's saying is, the judges would be the saints in the Bible, Christ, all those, you know, the major figures of the Bible. And it's saying that once the book of the law was taken, the Bible, then those people painted their images in. And what you have in the Renaissance period is you have that, you know, all the evidence of it, especially if you go into Russian iconoclasm. Uh, some of the work which you see literally in the castles in Russia, you literally see like Constantine and all of his council of soldiers all around him, and depictions of Christ and all of that. And it's all people of melanin, every single one of them, from lighter shades of brown to darker shades of brown. And it gets pretty interesting when you start going through a lot of those artifacts. You start seeing the same thing over and over and over. And the older you go, the more they're melanated.
That's a lie, man. That's a lie. I just play. You can't tell me that. I've seen the pictures.
Well, I mean, think about it. When we talked about Cheddar Man not that long ago, when National Geographic did all that research and they realized Cheddar Man was actually a brown skinned guy, very brown skin, with kind of like straight, kind of stringy hair, but he had blue eyes.
Oh.
And he was lactose intolerant also.
It's all good, man. It's all good, yeah. Yo, it's crazy because, you know, Korea has a crazy large Christian population, and I see throngs of hundreds of my people bowing down to the white Jesus. I'm like, God damn, you know what I mean? Like,
it's disgusting. I mean and you know the crazy part? If you go to, I can't remember, I have to look it up. I put it in one of my videos, or it's probably in one of my videos to come. It's showing like one image, and it has like, I think it's Nigeria. And they have a white Mary and a white baby Christ. And on the left, you see the popes, and they're praying to a black Mary and a black Christ.
Despite this fact, right? Despite the fact that I know that some of it's fucked up, because it really is, you know what I mean? Despite this fact, I'll tell you why I'm Christian. You get what I mean? Now, the things is that in my life, I've had times where it's been real fucking rough, you know what I mean? And like nobody was there to listen to me. You know what I mean? I was all by my fucking self, you know what I mean? And then I just prayed to God because I had nobody else, you know what I mean? And I survived to this fucking moment. I survived to that next moment. I just prayed to fucking survive, you know what I mean? So it's a very powerful tool for anybody out there, you know what I mean, who's struggling. You want to be atheist, whatever you can, but, you know, like it really helps in those times to have that, and it's been used by many people in the past. Also, the thing is that, like we said before, Christianity is a warrior's religion. There's a lot of good things in it. Why throw it away? You know what I mean? If you look at this culture, it's steeped in Christianity. You have so much to learn from it, right? Knowledge passed down from the centuries. You could also pick up from Buddhism, or I'm not afraid to look at those other texts too. Well, but Christianity has a lot of powerful stuff. Go ahead.
It's funny you said that because you're leading into something that was already kind of like on the tip of my tongue to say. If you look into every like different culture and look at their different deities and major, like, I guess, staple points of their cultures, think back to the samurais. What's one thing that we think about samurais? Discipline, honor, a certain pride in the way that they do things.
Some of it, yes.
In the Bible, the way the Israelites are supposed to behave themselves is very similar. Some of the meditation, calming, you can compare that to certain traits you see in Buddhism. The ideas in India about karma and how you treat people, what goes around comes around. In the Bible, it talks about you reap what you sow. You know, all of these different things, you see them in I guess you see a little bit of each of it broken apart and put into various different forms. Another one I would put in is like Calvinism, even though I think a lot of it is nonsense. Calvinism, it embraces the concept of predestination.
My grandfather,
because the Bible gives prophecy, it's already pre-written. We just have to understand the process that we're going through.
My grandfather was a big-time Calvinist. He actually created a lot of church. He built a lot of churches in Korea. But not that I also wait if why don't you know what I mean? If this is Calvin, goddamn, he fucked me. Yeah, I got fucked up with that in this rally.
Well, see,
Whatever, man,
and
it's
that's
all
the
good.
thing which that's the thing which Christians don't understand. The big dirty secret what happened with the Roman Catholic Church. That's a whole nother matter.
I'm Seventh-day Adventist, actually. I'm Seventh-day Adventist, so you know about us. We're kind of
closer. You're already closer to where I'm at.
We're hip to
already,
that.
so that's good.
Yeah.
And so the thing which I learned was different is I had to look at the fact of after 70 AD when Israel was conquered and its people were spread everywhere. And here's one thing which I always found interesting, which nobody ever said. It says Israel is a speckled bird. And if you ever look at what a speckled bird is, that's a bird of many different colors.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's saying that northern tribe is going to be mixed. And if you start really digging into history and find out the captivities they went through, you can start figuring out the mixtures to which possible nations that they've been spread to and start figuring out the next sign to finding out the Israelites. And what that is you start looking at the curses.
Let's be real for a second.
Test your spirit.
Let's be real for a second, yeah? When we go back and look at the Bible, for people who know the Bible, they be getting into these lists about this person was born from this person, was born from this person, was born from this person. They a little bit obsessed with that, you know what I mean? So it kind of makes sense that they be tracking those tribes because they do be getting all into that shit, you know what I mean? Like this was the son of this thing, was the son of that thing, and they went off of these different things. They do be laying that out, you know what I mean? For real. That's a big part of the thing.
It's there for a reason. See, cool. what the thing which they don't want to tell us, which I realized is, honestly, how I look at it is we're almost split because of the whole wheats and the tare parable.
Wait a minute. So I got to ask you, what happened to Cain, bro? What happened to Cain? Like he went off on this earth. Who are the people of Cain right there?
You want to? Well, yeah.
Sometimes I feel fucked up. Maybe I'm a son of Cain. You know what I mean? Sometimes,
Hebrew Israelites, or I'll say most of us, we believe in regeneration.
Okay. And I thought you were gonna say most of them were sons of Cain. I was like, oh shit.
No.
All
no, we all believe that all of us come back every 3 to 4 generations. And so we're all going through different things over and over and over. Of course, we're not going to have the memory of our previous lives, and we're going to come back in some.
Why every 3 to 4 generations? Where did that come from?
Well, it says it in the Bible. It talks about the judgment will happen when you live again. And so that's alluding to, okay, say you did some crappy stuff and people feel like, oh, well, nothing ever happened to that guy. Well, when he's born again, if he's born and all of a sudden now he's always had shitty luck and nothing ever goes right for him, and that might be why. That might be judgment on him from that previous life. Because when it gets into Cain, what it says about Cain is it says Cain will be a vagabond of the earth. It says that that Cain will basically be hunted everywhere he goes.
You're a Calvinist. That's what it is. You're a Calvinist.
No,
Look you just told it on yourself. No. So what is going on here?
I'm not a Calvinist.
What is going on here? What is this kind of your predetermined living? What is this?
Because I believe a lot of stuff Calvinists don't believe.
So what is that?
Completely. Like, for instance, let me give you something that's, I guess, a little controversial, but it's fun. Most Hebrew Israelites, when I said regeneration, we also believe that Cain regenerated into Esau. When it talks about the mark being on him.
Isn't Esau the hairy one?
Yes. And we will realize that would be the curse of Cain, because it says Cain would be a vagabond throughout the earth. Cain died in Nod. And if you go into the book of Jasher, which some people subscribe to it, I look at it for a little entertainment. The book of Jasher says that that Cain is actually killed by like his great grandson on accident.
So with this whole religious political viewpoint that you kind of have merged together, which is cool, right? Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's kind of like poignant? What's going on right now, right? As in terms of this whole mixture that you think that you have perspective on.
The most important thing, because like a lot of this stuff, that's kind of just walking you up to understanding the whole lot of the players who are on the map for this whole giant, kind of big movie that we're all living.
Break it down.
Well, the biggest thing that I feel is important is prophecy towards the end. And trying to understand what's going to start moving. Now, what it talks about in there is you have to start understanding these actual biblical identities and nations to actually understand these prophecies. Because sometimes it'll be talking about Babylon, and then it'll be talking about Mystery Babylon, and it's not literally talking about the same place.
You're gonna get me a strike on my channel, bro. I'm not even mad at that though. Let's go.
But when you start getting into that, and you start getting into Daniel, it starts talking about which nations, like when the Messiah returns, that he literally says that he's gonna trounce his garments in blood going through a certain nation. And it
Which
says
nation is
the
this?
blood, it would be the nation of Edom. Most people don't know who Edom is because most churches teach that Edom or Edomites are dead, that they don't exist anymore. But if you read into the Apocrypha, which Martin Luther took out, it says that what Esau will be the end of the world and Jacob will be the world that follows. Now, that doesn't mean literally end of the world, but the end of a certain age, and then a new rulership will take over.
Hold up a second.
And so it's saying that Esau would be ruling in this time period.
So you're getting real Old Testament here. Wait a second. Have you also read the Talmud?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, snap.
I've
Okay.
read it.
So this dude's real deep in the game. Okay, so for those of them who don't know who the Talmud is, tell the people what it is.
The Talmud was a unwritten code of laws that was passed down throughout the Pharisees and a lot of the upper level Jewish community. Now, the part which a lot of people don't know, well, it was not meant to be written down. Eventually, it was written down later on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be sure if everything in there is entirely accurate, we don't know. Some of it is, some of it isn't, but we won't go into what was added later. Here's something which most people do not know about. If you go back to the Herodian and Hasmonean dynasties, at that time, the Maccabees, they started to marry in with King Herod. Those who are familiar with King Herod was an actual Edomite. And when it gets into them trying to kill the King Christ, as a baby, and they're killing all the firstborn child, that's Herod. Well, his family, before that time in the Apocrypha, they marry in with the Maccabees, and they actually take rulership in a lot of the positions in Israel, also becoming half of the Pharisees who later go on to kill Christ and set him up. Well, they didn't give them the Torah or the Tanakh. They gave those people the Talmud. And so their ancestors have carried on the Talmud.
So you're saying the Talmud is for those people?
And Edomites, those are all the same people.
So are you considering the Talmud for those people, or the Talmud is for everyone?
No, I don't believe anybody should use the Talmud.
Oh, interesting.
Because the Talmud there's some passages in there which I would say are downright satanic.
Whoa, damn, such as?
I mean...
Okay, let me explain to you how I understand the Talmud, right? Yeah? I'll explain to the Talmud by Jewish people as a book of suggestions about how to interpret the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
and that's the reason.
Torah,
and that's
whatever.
what I learned in Christianity. I was never taught what the Talmud was. I'd never read any of the Talmud.
Yeah.
And when I started going into Sanhedrin this and Talmud that, I started reading certain passages that said
What's
stuff
satanic?
like,
Yeah.
It said stuff like, a Jew is allowed to go and commit harm if they go to a city where they're not known. It says that that a Gentile or non-Jew is equivalent to a dog. It said stuff like, if you were to lay a hand or harm a Jew, then that's a death sentence. I mean, that you should charge that, not only that it's okay, that you should charge usury on the Gentiles or Goyim. It talks about molestation of underage children. It literally talks about, I'm trying not to get you a strike saying this, figure the best way, but it talks about.
I tell the truth, man. This is not what it's about. I have other channels too.
Circumcision of children, which is done normally with a straw sucking out the blood and stuff from the child. So that's practices that they get into in the Talmud. They, talks about if you had intercourse with a child under 9 years old, that it's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, it's a lot of stuff in there. I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
That is a little, yeah, that's damn. All right, so I've not actually seen those parts. Holy crap, yeah. But I was always interested in,
I'll send them to you. I'll send them to you. I took down like 30 like screenshots when I was going. I was like, oh God, I didn't know this was in here.
Is the Talmud accepted by all Jews or only some Jews?
No, it's not accepted by all Jews, but what I do know is most of the high-ranking Jews, like Bibi Netanyahu and a lot of those people, they do subscribe to the Talmud 100%.
What about the Hasidics?
The Hasidics, from what I understand, some of them have started getting more into Kabbalah and mystical, what they call mystical jewelry. And so that's kind of mixing in more modern science with kind of more mythical elements of the Talmud, because you have that side of the Talmud where it talks about elements and more scientific things. Which, if you get deeper into like King Solomon, wisdom of King Solomon, he talks a lot about like oxygen and actual scientific things that which we understand today.
Cool, man. I'm down with it. Yeah. So I have no problems with melding the two together. I think that religion is a very powerful tool used by people to survive certain situations. It can be that. It can be many things. It can be whatever you need it to be, but it can always be there for you. Right? A religion, no matter what you screw up, no matter religion is always there for you. That's really freaking amazing. Yeah? That's an amazing thing right there. So let's just ask you a little bit more about your activism. What's going on with you in terms of activism world?
As of late, I've been just focusing on mostly studying and researching. But early on, I was mostly involved with a lot of the, I guess, pre-Black Lives Matter stuff, going all the way back to Diallo when he got shot 41 times in front of his apartment building in New York, and just situation after situation, all the way up to Jordan Davis and Trayvon Martin. At that time, I was living in Florida, and I lived maybe no more than 10 minutes from where Jordan Davis was shot. And I used to literally go to that gas station all the time. And so it struck really close to home. And then with Sanford only being maybe 2 hours from Jacksonville, Florida, where I was living, a lot of those things really galvanized the community. And so that, and then also when I got out of the military, I got really involved with Occupy. I was involved with the Occupy movement out of Jacksonville, Florida. And so we were trying to push for a lot of things, and it just seemed like we couldn't get all the organization together and translate that into actual, legislation and power. And kind of, I feel in a way we kind of missed an opportunity, but we might have gave people some hope that there is a way they can go if they just come with a little bit, better plan than what we had.
The thing is that I've been part of these movements for a long time. I've been part of different, sometimes there's like little communes try to start up, people try to form idealized societies. Also, I've been trying to make some of these changes happen on a larger scale. And the fact of the matter is that even when I've been successful, one of the most saddest things is that it really breeds complacency in the people once the system starts to work for them. So the thing is that we need to really realign our society. And I think that one thing that would be very cool about, we kind of like created this kind of professional class of mid-level managers, aka our politicians, to handle government for us, which hasn't really been working out very well because we've been using like money to kind of like, their job as a indicator, and we look at like people who are successful, right? Yeah, in other fields. That's why Bill Gates is all of a sudden given like all this doctor power, you know what I mean? Like he institutes a healthcare policy, not because of his medical experience, but just because he's got a whole crap ton of money and can make things happen, right? So the thing is that what we really need, one of the things that I think that we really need to do is we need to really, that's why I don't ever try to be a leader in this. You know what I mean? If I am a leader, it's just that I'm doing the steps first, but other people need to also do the same things I'm doing and take more agency and control of what's going on in their lives. That's definitely what I would recommend myself. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And as I've gotten more into my faith, I kind of looked at a couple of things differently. Even if, because the Most High, what he says is, he would rather you be hot or cold than lukewarm. And so, if you are an atheist, he would rather you not believe in him at all than to be halfway foot in the door. And
Yeah.
so, if you are doing what he calls righteous works, those will be things which will be counted towards you in judgment in a good way, even if you aren't a believer. So
Yeah.
when
But
that time comes and you're able to be judged and all that, those things will be counted for you. And so even when it's not necessarily in a religious way, my faith still says, hey, these ways you're still helping get yourself in the direction you're supposed to. And I do believe many things are kind of set in a certain motion, and I can kind of see certain things starting to play out the way I've read them. And so, partially a little scary at times, but as long as you have your faith and you try to stay as righteous as you can be, not trying to be self-righteous or anything, but just trying to do the righteous works and about your spirit and what's on the inside, your heart, all those things will be accounted for. Those people like Bill Gates who, just because they have money, they want to hop in every single idea and force their ideas to the forefront and tell everybody, just do it my way because I have money. Those people are going to be recognized also, because the Most High can see through when you're trying to pretend you're doing good just to get, the adoration from everybody.
well, here's another thing,
And
right?
when
Yeah.
you're being good.
The thing is that when we look at like Google Health, right, or we look at Samsung, they also have like Samsung Fit or whatever, right? Yeah, and Apple, right? I think it's Health. Or I forgot what it's called. They all have an app designed to take control of your medical records information. That's a huge industry right there that they're all vying for, that people just stopped talking about. So the thing is that people forgot about how much money is at stake, and information once again is on the table. But we're getting this. We have to look at what they're really after. So anyways, the Bill Gates thing, that's a problematic thing. But just one word out to the atheists out there. I'm not mad at y'all, but really the Bible is really a story of persistence and has great activist lessons. You take a look at the way that, Christianity, persisted through, unfriendly conditions. There's a lot of cool, like, life lessons in there. For example, I'll tell you, actually, here's an interesting story that I'm going to share from you from the Good News Bible. Now, not all translations of the Bible have the same stories, just so you know. And if you see parentheses in your Bible, okay, someone added that shit in there. Okay, that's not even fucking cool. I think that's blasphemy, honestly. Yeah? A lot of these Bibles be inserting their own commentary into stuff, like saying, oh, that's when Jesus...
little commas too. Yeah.
And that's what, and they say, and that's when Jesus said it was okay to like eat like pork or something like that. They literally added in the parentheses, someone freaking added that later on. That's garbage, okay? It's garbage. So, yeah.
And for those who don't know what he's talking about, he was kind of alluding a little bit to the Johannine comma, which is well known for people who have done a little bit of studying in the Bible world. But for those who might have just kind of sucked on the writings of Paul, you wouldn't have gotten this far to understand what he's even talking about. So I wanted to clarify that and put that out there.
Okay. So there's a
And I forgot, when you get into some of these translations, which normally are, I'll say the King James 1611 would be the most compiled one, but once you start getting into the Good News translation, NIV, whatever, it'll be certain words like will sell yourself into slavery versus you will be sold into slavery. And think about it, who the hell would sell themselves into hardcore bondage after being kidnapped? That doesn't even make sense.
Oh, well. So, here's the story. So the thing is, there's a guy, and he goes to Jesus to complain. He owns a business, and he's closing it, and his worker's slacking off. His worker is selling stuff cheap to his friends and not really working very hard at all. So Jesus says, the man did nothing wrong. Go home and close your store. And then, so what do you think of that, right? It's weird, right? Like, shouldn't Jesus tell this guy, like, come on now, you know what I mean? Like, he's paying you, like, you should do the right thing. What do you think about that?
Well, it's kind of one of those situations where what he's kind of telling you is don't worry about it because that situation is going to be handled on its own.
Okay.
That person, yes, they do have a responsibility that they're neglecting, and they're not going to get away from it. They're not going to get away with it. They might think and they might slack around in the meantime, but it's saying because you'll have patience with that person and maybe you handle it in a give them time or whatever.
I'll tell you
the whole indications of the situation.
Let me share with you another interpretation. Let me share with you another interpretation, right? Yeah. So the thing is that, right, this guy technically, right, the guy's closing his shop anyways, right? Yeah. And the guy's just doing what's in his own best interest. He no longer is going to benefit from the long-term gain of having the job tomorrow. So he might as well do that anyways. So the thing is that it's wrong for you to expect others to follow your code of morality, right? You should expect others to just do what's in their own best interest. Now, you could do whatever you want, but you cannot tell other people what to do. You get what I mean? So you are closing your store. Just go home and close. Fuck it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of cool. That's kind of gangster. And also that's kind of like pro-worker. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny. Jesus kind of like this cool activist in a way. You know what I mean? Like, not saying fuck you to the owner too, but just that's the condition. Like, fucking suck it up. There you go. You know what I mean?
Well, here's something that a lot of people didn't know in there also. It talks about if like a poor man steals, it says that's nothing. It's like, just let it go. Don't worry about trying to throw him in prison and all these things like that. It's a poor man. You have a shop. You can afford it. Let it go.
Yeah. So, yeah. On the last day, he was there with like a thief and someone else, and he took the thief up with him to the promised land, right? So.
Yeah, because that's what people don't understand. They say, "Oh, well, didn't the thief go up to heaven?" Well, I'm like, well, in the Torah, it doesn't say that stealing is a crime punishable of death. So this guy is already getting a raw deal to be up on the cross right next to him in the first place. And so, of course, he's like, yeah, you're not going to be held in like some kind of eternal hell because you might have made a mistake.
Yeah, when it was decision to starve or steal, like there was just not even a fucking question for a fucking second. You know what I mean? Like I did not question that shit for a second. I was like, boy, you know what I mean? Bam, I don't know if I was gonna survive. Fuck it. I was like, I'm doing this shit right now, boy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I could show scripture to show that not only he's like, any of y'all who are worrying about that, stop. You're being petty. It's just like I got to bring this up because I heard this person say this and I was like, that's probably one of the craziest things I've heard a so-called Christian say. They were like, oh man, Jesus, yeah, he was breaking laws big time.
So what I think
he's breaking laws big time.
I think what we should do is we should like instead of having this class of like middle class people motivated by money, I think we should create maybe even a small, type of maybe like a Knights Exemplar type of people with really high standing morals to oversee the shit. You know what I mean? People that are not paid, people that take a vow of poverty, people that take a vow of poverty, unfortunately, the power, right? Even popes can be completely fucking corrupt, right? Move the money to their friends or take care of the people who are nice to them. We have to make sure that these people really have experienced hardship and cannot be manipulated, into an easy middle class lifestyle where they do not no longer, sympathize or, take advantage of the system to empower some people.
One idea I used to have is I used to think, well, if there was able to find that nation which the
5% nation, bro.
That nation that has a good mindset towards equality and justice, you could start to move there and almost implement an Epicurean type, society. I'm not sure who out there's.
You know what fucks it up every time? Epicurus
is kind of like the forefather of what socialism and communism became.
You know what fucks it up every time? I'm sorry to say, it's the fucking betas. Yeah, it's the betas. The betas come in and then they fuck up the alphas' heads because they just surround them with the bullshit, you know what I mean? Trying to fucking make the come up and shit. And it's just really sad.
Well, and you know the thing about it, even the Bible even talks about that. Watching out for those people around you who are going to just talk trash and are going to mess everything up. I mean, one story which I think about, I guess, real quick, is it's this one night, this one king, and he's kind of ruling for a while. And his brother, he's ready for battle. And he has all this fancy armor and all that. And so he's just ready for battle. He loves his brother. It's no problems. But the brother's wife keeps like throwing trash. I think he wants your kingdom. He wants your kingdom. You need to watch him. So one day she sets him up to be murdered. And he goes ahead, kills his brother, listening to just what somebody just spouting in his ear.
It's like Jimmy Dora here.
I mean, you got to be careful who's spouting in your ear, you know.
Look, I'm not mad at Steph. You know, I mean, I think she put in a lot of time for him, but you know, there's a point where you got to draw the line and say, look, man, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. Anyways, much love out to Jimmy Dora. You know what I mean? I hope it all works out. Anyways, yeah, man. So
I mean. And especially, you know, definitely a big shout out to Jimmy. He really sticks his neck out there, and
he's done great work. He's done great work.
Most people just don't have the courage to do so.
He's still doing great work.
Anybody who's willing to do that,
yeah, he's still doing great work.
Still willing to do that, and the thing about it is, like he says, for just being a jack off comedian, he gets it right better than most of the people out there who go to college and have all these great degrees.
I'm appreciative.
What that tells you is honesty versus, you know, somebody just trying to get a check. That's how it comes across to me, because if you're paying attention, it's not hard to see this. And if you
but he'll be surrounded by people that need their check. He's an industry now. There's a Jimmy Dore industry, you know what I mean? So whether he wants to or not, the machine will roll, you know what I mean? Because there's the industry, the machine around him needs to get fed. And I can't be mad at that. That naturally happens.
Look at the overall. But you look at the overall machine that we're dealing with, or the matrix, as we call it over on my show, the political matrix. That matrix is feeding the machine, because the more that they don't do,
this is what always kills it.
In the best interest are right for people. It's going to send more people to start trying to get answers.
20 years in the movement.
The person who's calling it out, they're going to go to that person, and so people are going to need an outlet for that frustration, anger. And it's going to come a time when it's not going to be enough to just go to a Jimmy Dore or a Richard Medhurst and just hear them kind of fire off. People are going to start, you know, taking it to their own levels. And I don't advocate for that, but I'm like, if this system doesn't start wising up, people are not going to be comfortable with just kind of hearing content, you know, creators try to give them, you know, possible solutions.
Cool. That's definitely me, man.
I don't advocate for that, but I always have that in the back of my mind, because and think about it. We try to do all these different revolutions in a political, you know, organized manner. We try to pick a politician. I was trying my best to try to unite, you know, okay, can we get these Tulsi people with Bernie? Let's try to make this thing work early. I would have loved to see that combination.
I'm trying to make that happen right now. In fact, let's set that up, man. I know some Bernie people. We need to start having more conversations about joining Bernie World and Tulsi World, because Tulsi, I'm actually working on the video right now. I actually got a bunch of old school heads on there talking about it. But
see, that's the thing. Now I'm frustrated with Bernie. So
Tulsi is the true successor. Tulsi is the true successor to Bernie. You know, and Bernie's not going to live forever. You know what I mean? He is getting old. I'm not hating. You know what I mean? But when he dies, there will be a power vacuum. And honestly, right, who stuck her neck out for Bernie like Tulsi did? Even after, he said she wasn't running, she still had his back with Warren when Warren tried to stab him up. You know what I mean? So come on, you know what I mean? Who you can respect that, or you can go with AOC because the party leaders say that Tulsi's whack. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, if people don't see what's going on with AOC, I mean, it seems like she's literally morphing before our eyes.
She made a deal with Pelosi. Like, they knock out Tulsi and they put her in.
I've never seen anybody change so fast. I mean, Warren,
they made a deal.
She made her switch to to trying to be some kind of a liberal Democrat and then trying to switch back into corporate and back and forth.
But AOC honestly earns it because the thing is that,
AOC's
yeah,
has just been like instant.
AOC's ground game is very strong out here in New York, and Tulsi's ground game is not acceptable. You know what I mean? Out here, we need more heads on the ground. We need people getting involved, or we don't deserve to win. I'm sorry to tell you.
And
you know what I mean? We don't deserve it.
I gotta put this up. I would be wrong if I did not point this out, because this person was, I feel like, the foremost. He was the first person on, and he stayed steadfast on her case. Nico House, you know, and his network, Convo Couch, they were on AOC, and even when they were getting a lot of flack from a lot of people, it did not back away from the claims that they were making. And now they're all, you know, looking very justified, you know, and correct in my eyes.
Okay. That's cool with me. You know, they're right to, like, call out things that they see as, you know, as an issue.
Well, anytime I feel like somebody who's calling out some of the things early and we actually start watching them play out, like, I remember, trying to remember who it was I was listening to when they first started talking about Michael Bloomberg was going to jump into the race. And they were probably about easily a month ahead of everybody else. I mean, and so it's always interesting to me to see, you know, which person, you know, is ahead of the train on certain things. And
I'm not as mad at Mike as a lot of other people are. I lived through Mike's mayorship of New York City. There were some good things about it. It wasn't as bad as people, you know, say it was. I was in the hood at that time. People was getting bagged up, you know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? It depends on, like, also, like, you know, you just didn't stay in the hot spots, you know what I mean? Like, you knew, like, you know, if you're on the corner, you're gonna get whacked up, you know what I mean? So, come on.
No, and even the same thing, it's kind of a, I hate to really give this man a lot of credit, but it's kind of a mixed bag with Giuliani also. Giuliani did clean up the streets, but a lot of people did get treated like shit.
Yeah, that was not good. Yeah.
Like a lot of people.
That's really where it kind of turned up. You know, Giuliani's really kind of like, he also got rid of all the Asian gangsters, you know what I mean? They used to get respect. That's okay. I'm okay with them getting rid of the gangsters, but yeah. It was he broke some laws to do that stuff.
Some laws? I mean, some laws you're kinder than I am. I would say he broke quite a bit of
He
laws.
violated human rights, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, the United States and our politicians will scream and holler and point fingers at Saudi Arabia, at North Korea, at, you know, China with the Uyghur Muslims. We'll talk about Turkey, what Erdogan's doing. We'll talk about every single other nation. We'll talk about Russia's doing this, and, you know, journalists are just getting snatched up. But nobody ever wants to talk about what the United States is doing. I mean, MBS, they let that basically happen, and people say, oh, well, you know, if Democrats were in charge, then they would hold them accountable. Well, Joe Biden's in charge right now, and he's not doing anything.
The sad reality is, a lot of our fellow country people, they know but don't care.
Oh, exactly.
I'm telling you, that's the
They
truth.
don't care, and that's the thing. They're complete and total hypocrites. I mean, I watch people when they talk about the whole Cuomo thing, and they're like, well, when I see Trump go to jail, then I'll worry about Cuomo. It's not even about Trump or Cuomo. It's about the damage they're doing to actual people. That's what matters.
Are you saying that he didn't deserve an Emmy?
You need to go to jail.
Are you saying he didn't deserve an Emmy?
Well, the thing about it is, a lot of these people actually give presidents a lot more credit for everything. I mean, Trump probably did just a whole lot of, I mean, he pulled out his, you know, dancing. Well, he didn't do Dancing with the Stars. Mostly The Apprentice. He pulled out all his Apprentice moves. And
I don't think Cuomo has a very good presentation. I think Cuomo has a very sad presentation.
Well, Cuomo, what he had is he had the whole entire liberal media pumping him up.
He speaks like a third grader. He speaks like a third grader, for real.
But you got to remember, just like any action movie or comic book, the hero is only as good as the villain. So you got to have a bad villain. So Trump is already the bad villain. So now you can put whatever you want onto Cuomo to make him better. because Trump is so bad. And so
Cuomo
the
may have
media
killed more people
forms
than
those
Trump.
narratives.
Higher body
I mean,
count. Get him, Cuomo.
and that's my point. And they'll have the selective outrage about this or that. But for me, I just have outrage over all of it. I mean, the Bible says oppression makes a wise man mad. And so I'm mad at all the stuff that I see going on. And I point fingers at all of them. I'll give credit when they do things, but I'm not going to stop pointing out the nonsense and the BS that goes on in the system. I mean, think about America. America started on slavery, built up trillions of dollars on free wealth, and now they're like 30 trillion in debt. How the hell does that work? And then you want to call up random average people and say, hey, you're behind on a credit card bill. Really? America, you have a lot of fucking nerve.
Okay, so wait a second. We're getting into like some prophecy stuff, so we're about to like get really QAnon level stuff. By the way, just so you know, I am a cleric of QAnon. Yeah.
Okay, all
The
right.
power flows from the pussy into Donald Trump's tiny hands, and through
So
my
tiny.
body, I magically heal people using the powers of QAnon. Yeah, one day I will show you my healing powers. You down?
All right, okay.
Hell yeah.
I'm interested in seeing
Hell
all.
yeah.
I mean, I do believe in spiritual things, and you know, the Most High can use whoever He decides to use for whatever He decides to use, whether they understand it or not.
The power flows through my body from the pussy. Whatever. Okay, whatever.
See, my only thing that I had with right wingers when it came to a lot of the QAnon stuff was like, okay, you see all the Democrats that are doing stuff, but you can't see the Republicans too. They're both just as dirty. What do you-
Don't believe Tara Reid. Oh my God, believe her, but Tara Reid's not. She's Russian.
I
Oh my
mean,
God, it's so
honestly,
sad.
I honestly believe the Tara Reid thing was legit. I just think that Biden, I really don't.
Why are there
have-
so many photos of Biden sniffing children? Why are there so many photos? Why?
Exactly. I mean, you can't.
This is not good. This is why.
And here's my thing.
Where's your
If-
photos of
if-
you sniffing the kids? Damn it! You don't sniff the
if
kids.
it worked,
You're not a president.
I
God
wouldn't
damn
do
it!
that.
You can't.
If anybody,
Are you even black? Wait. Did you turn your black card yet? What the?
I already gave it away because
Oh.
I couldn't vote for Biden. I had to get
Oh.
rid of it. You know.
Damn.
I-
Sorry, bro.
But I don't.
What are you now?
I don't-
What are you now?
Now I'm a Hebrew Israelite, so
Okay.
I'm much happier. I'm much happier with that identity.
All right. Good
'Cause
luck,
see,
man.
When you and I'll go into detail with you on some of that stuff a little bit later. I can't get everything out to everybody right away. You're gonna have to watch my other show. When you watch my show, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna walk.
Hit
you down
like
that
in the
path. You
comments
see.
if you vote to give this guy back his black card. Hit like on the comments right there.
It's ripped, burnt. It's done with.
Biden
It's
killed
done.
it. Oh my God.
I would rather be the chosen people than a byword. Because see, have you seen Malcolm X?
I have.
If you those who haven't seen the movie and don't know what I'm talking about, there's a part in there in the early scene where the older Muslim is showing him the definition of black in the Bible. Merriam-Webster dictionary, you can go look it up. Now they probably changed some of the stuff to try to make it a little nicer. But you look at the definition of what black is, you look at the definition of what white is. And it paints a clear picture why you start calling a whole group of people black. And then when you start going into the etymology of the word and start understanding like some of the names of these countries, what they named them and why they named them, what they named them, you start understanding the true white supremacy that's been going on since continuously, I would say, since the, let's say, 1300s up till now. And that's including subjugation, conquering, rape, rob, and murder through every corner of the globe. I mean, what is it? The UK, I think it's something like 60 countries that celebrated independence from them. I mean, they literally what 60% of the world that they invaded at one point in time.
Wild, man.
I mean, when you start seeing the stuff which some of these nations have done.
So wait a second. You were talking about prophecy, talking about these nations. So one of the nations that's identified by the Seventh-day Adventists is that America has quite a chilling role to play with the 13 colonies, right? Yeah, you think about that. That's kind of a little bit numerologically, inconvenient. Also greatly implicated is the papacy, and, deeply implicated is the Catholics for being a false church. Did you know about that?
Well, there's a bunch of places which the way I read into Jeremiah, Isaiah, Daniel, Revelations. There's a couple of different chapters I can go into, and Obadiah also. A lot of Christians don't even know about Obadiah, but Obadiah talks about. Remember, we were saying before, a nation which would be in power would be Esau or the Edomites. Whoever those people
are. Who are these Edomites? Yeah, you were telling us about that. Who are these Edomites?
They got an ugly, ugly, ugly judgment coming for them. Those people do.
So who
it
is
literally
Edomites?
Says that. See, it's a complex question. It's a very complex question because when you get into nations, the original nation, you can't necessarily go directly off of skin color.
Wasn't Herod like many tongues or something? Wasn't Herod like many tongues or something?
No, Herod would have been what would be considered a modern day, I call Indo-European. Okay. That's what I say. Because if you start looking into the area of the Hittite land and their archaeology, and you know that a lot of the people from Mount Seir...
Didn't they try to build... Who did the Tower of Babel? Wasn't it King Herod?
That was Nimrod.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
sorry.
Nimrod. That was.
My bad.
That was right after the flood period.
My bad.
But when you start getting into actually studying the language families and all those things, and you start tracking the stuff, you're able to figure out who this group of people are. And it said here's the thing. Some of the Hebrew Israelites will go to trying to look at color in these couple of scriptures, but I'm going to go to how it said that Esau would live. And it said that Esau was given the dew of the heavens and the fatness of the earth. But the difference between Esau getting the blessing and Jacob getting the blessing is Esau would get it by the sword. Everything that Esau would get would be by the sword. It even said that Esau's lands would not till good fertile grounds. So increasing the need to have to go and take from other nations. Now, as you start looking at, was it 300, I want to say about 300 BC, Alexander the Great from Macedonia. And if you trace back Alexander the Great is a descendant of Herod. Herod treks back to I believe it's Eliphaz, one of Esau's actual great grandsons. So it travels all the way through the line. So into the Macedonians, which became the Greek Empire, because they pushed out the Minoans and the Mycenaeans and all the people who were there before them. The same thing which happened with the Roman Empire, because most of the people from the Greek Empire just became the Roman Empire.
You ever thought about moving out of this godforsaken land then?
Well, those same people who were doing all of that conquering and dispelling, they were thrown out of power temporarily, but when they came back into power in the 1400s after the Bronze Age, which that's when you had a lot of the Moors and Arabs and a mixture of different people who were ruling different parts of Europe, when what we'll say so-called modern day Caucasians start taking back over that part in the 1300s. That right after that, then there was the expansion into Africa, Asia, the Americas, the slave trades, on and on and on, all the Monroe Doctrine, then, all the stuff that went on in, the separation of all these different countries and the just taking of all the natural resources. And you look at the wealthiest nation in the world is America. which is descendant from Great Britain, which comes from the Roman Empire, which comes from the Greeks, which the Greeks go back to the Hittites, and the Hittites and Anatolians go back to Mount Petra or Mount Seir. And so those people who are Indo-Europeans would fall under that for the most part. Now, we don't know which mixtures people have. You could look like a completely white person and actually, because of patrilineage, heritage, and whatever, you could actually be Israelite. You could look like a typical Pacific Islander, Asian, black person, whatever.
Yeah.
And depending on whatever mixtures, you might be a part of that nation of Israel. But if you tend to be on the other side of the token and part of that nation of Esau, it's either you get the best or you end up the worst, and everybody else is kind of right in the middle of what's going on here, and kind of in the middle of a giant power struggle between two, I guess, fraternal twin families that which have split off.
Korea's wrapped up in this deep.
That's the real story when you really start getting into the Bible. And who starts to ally with Israel and who allies with the Edomites. And so whichever nations bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse her will be cursed. And so in the end, you find out which nations were the enemies, who were the allies.
Is this the real Israel or is this the false Israel?
No, we're talking about the real Israel.
Is the real Israel in existence today, or is today's Israel the false Israel?
Yes.
Oh, it's the real Israel. Okay.
No. Oh, are you talking about the people in the land right now? The Israelis?
No, I'm talking.
No, they are not the real.
No, okay.
They're
So
not the real.
Who are the real Israelis then?
The real Israelis, I guess I'll go ahead and break it here, but majority of them, it says in the Bible that they would serve their final captivity together, and they will be brought out of the land of the north and being put back into their land after the time of the Gentiles is over.
You know, there's some Hasidics who say that that the current state of Israel is actually a blasphemy, and is not the true state of Israel, and it's before its time and should not be there. So they're actually quite controversial, and okay, that's cool, but you don't really subscribe to that. You don't. They don't fit the prophecies, because the key thing, especially most Hebrew Israelites go into, is Deuteronomy 28. When you go into Deuteronomy 28, the first 14 verses go into the blessing that will be for Israel if they keep the law, statutes, and commandments, which are found in the Torah. Now, interesting.
That was 613 law, statutes, and commandments. If they follow those, they will be, blessed by God. If not, they're going to be punished.
Okay, so
obviously,
interesting. Okay,
they didn't listen, and so if they didn't listen, whoever Israel is now would be suffering the curses, not the blessings.
Okay, Deuteronomy.
And Esau,
let's talk about that.
Esau in reverse will be suffering from the blessings, not the curses.
You take the book real literally, right? The Bible?
Oh, yes, extremely.
Okay. So Deuteronomy says you got to sacrifice all these birds and goats and stuff, yeah?
Well, that what we believe is when the Messiah came and he died on the cross, it got rid of those laws. That's what Hebrew Israelites understand.
Where does it say that?
Christians.
Where does it say that?
Well, it says that he's come to fulfill. He says, "I
did not come to destroy, but you don't have to do no more of these animal sacrifices."
Well, when you start reading into more the precepts, it leads you to passages which say that.
Come on, man.
Listen.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you. The passages say from the Most High that He doesn't care for our sacrifices anymore. That we still kept on sinning. That it didn't make a difference.
Don't you want to do it anyways? Doesn't He find it pleasing?
Not anymore, because
what? When did He say that?
No.
He did find it pleasing in the past.
He did. He said he loved the smell of the.
So let's have some cookout, bro. Offerings. Let's have some cookout.
Well, I still know a lot of Israelites who still, do the sacrifices, but they're not required because Christ took care of that. But some I do know they still go in, sacrifice the lamb, and then go and pray for it, and then cook it up.
Hell yeah! We got to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a grill next week and ready to. Get some.
I gotta come out to LA, bro. It could happen, bro. I know a lot of people in LA.
Hey,
Cookout, you know what I mean?
Welcome, man.
Yo, what
Definitely
up?
welcome.
Super spreader event right here. We're gonna do it.
Well, you got to remember, we as Hebrew Israelites, we believe that the Most High protects us. So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
if he's upset with us about something, then we're gonna face his judgment. And so we look at it like this: we don't try to fit the Bible for the inconvenient stuff. It's like, hey, if I turn out not to be an Israelite, and I turned out to be Esau, and I got to do that judgment, I'm just screwed. It's nothing else, no other way around it. That's how we see it. So if you fit these certain things and these curses and all of these things, which it says that would be on the signs of the children of Israel, I mean, it literally talks about that they would that their fathers would leave their homes. It talks about that they would build houses that they wouldn't live in. It talks about how that they would marry a woman and another man would lie with her. It talked about that their children would be taken
I remember
from
that.
them,
I remember that.
and they would have no power. Yeah, all of those.
I remember those things.
That it starts naming in there. Yeah. And so it says that those signs would be on those people. It says part of the curses is that they would have to go to their enemies and want and need of everything. That's water, that's food, that's clothes, that's education. And so if you think of the people who don't really own any of those things, and they have to go to another nation to get it, those people, that would be a sign of who the Israelites are.
Whoops.
And it would say the fact that they're in captivity is because
Maybe
they follow all their? They can't follow all. Well, some of them are. That's all I'm saying. It literally says that. It literally says that the Israelites would be spread to the four corners of the earth. So that literally means everywhere. And when they talk about what the four corners of the earth goes into is, back in the old days, they only knew about Asia, Africa, and Europe.
Hey, what do you know about angels and stuff? You know about seraphims and you know about who's that?
Oh, yeah.
What do you believe in the angel of vengeance?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Who is that?
Well,
Azrael or something?
There are multiple
Azrael. Oh damn.
And
which one can I be?
They're going to be coming. They're going to,
is there a seventh one? Is there a seventh one?
Michael is one. Gabriel is going to be, doing some things also. It also talks about, this is the part which I think is kind of neat, which I never noticed until I got a little older. All the old Negro spirituals, they used to sing this song: "Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home." Now think about it. Chariots are on the ground. What kind of chariot would need to swing low?
Because they're in the sky.
Them up?
Because they're in the sky.
Exactly. So in slave times, they had understanding that some kind of chariots were going to come from the sky to save them.
Why not?
Well, in the Bible, what it alludes to is it says that the Israelites will have a strange salvation, that the chariots will come and take them. It talks about how Enoch was beamed away in a whirlwind. It talks about, how Christ will come in the chariots in the clouds. Okay. And so when you start seeing all this so-called UFO activity, and you might be seeing some angels actually just creeping up to see what's going on.
All right.
I mean, preparing for the end,
Supposedly there's also supposedly they also left offspring on the earth. Didn't they?
I know some people believe into the whole Nephilim theory, being like the fallen angels, and that they actually mated with women. And
doesn't the Bible actually talk about these things? Giants. It does talk about these things. Okay.
Yes and no, but I think some people take those things a little too literal, and then some of that is is kind of adding or mixing a little bit of the Book of Enoch. Now you do have the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which still has the Book of Enoch within their Bible, so that does mix into some of the philosophy that goes in, because in the Book of Enoch it goes into all kind of different stuff, and mermaids and unicorns, and it starts talking about half men, half fawns, and all kind of stuff like that. So it gets, it has a bunch of stuff in there.
Cool. All right, man. So this is a crazy interview, man. So the activism stuff down in Kansas City. Right now, one thing that I'm trying to get done across local localities is if you could interface with, are there any elections coming up in your neighborhood?
Um, there are, but the people which in my district are already like in California. The sad thing is, even at the local levels, a lot of them are already like compromised.
Oh, I forgot you are in LA. Yeah, I have a lot of people in LA. So the thing is
Hmm.
that, right? Let's try to get a local ordinance passed where the thing is that because you know like how the DNC can make up any rules they want because they're a corporation?
Yep.
Well, we're the government. We can also decide what we want to allow. So the thing is that if they can black out football games for not filling the stadium, then
Hmm.
we can black out their debates and all their fucking advertising unless they meet certain requirements for us. And those requirements mean you can't be fucking around and giving candidates more talking time. You can't be fucking around and only be giving you know interviews to fucking mainstream
Hmm.
media. You know what I mean? You want to play fucking games? We can play fucking games. Fuck you. LA's off limits to y'all bitches. Hopefully I can get New York City under the same thing. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to get to that point where
Let's do it now.
whether
Let's
it's
do it now.
organized, it's going to happen anyway. I mean, I liked when they used to have the debates with the League of Women Voters, and they actually did a really good job actually going through a lot of different topics. They were
Let's make
fair
it
on their
happen
time.
now. Let's force them to do it now. You know what I mean? We could use that as an example right there. Like, we want to see exactly this type of thing become available. And if you don't, then fuck you. You know what I mean? You stupid corporation. You can't make your own rules, so we're going to make the rules for you. We're going to treat you
Well,
like
that's
children
I
now.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to go after, you got to start doing that kind of stuff now
Stop letting them
because
treat
if
us
you
like
can
children.
start
It's
that,
ridiculous. Yeah, these people are like,
yeah.
they're doing
If
this
you
to
start on
us.
these
They're
smaller
doing this
levels.
to us. Fucking do something back and stop being fucking whiny ass fucking can't do nothings. You know what I mean? It's just fucking do
Well,
something.
and another thing is, too many people are trying to be like perfectionists. They're trying to say, okay, now we got to get this issue, and then I care about this issue, and then we can't forget this issue, and then we got to. So we got all the issues, and then now stop doing that. Say, okay, what are we dealing with? We want to change this. We want to change the way they do the format for the debates. Let's all just bond together, focus on this one damn thing for a moment, knock that out, then move on to something
It really
else.
wouldn't take that
And when they
long. It
try to
really doesn't
convolute
take that
everything,
long. There's no reason
yeah,
for it
if
to
you
take more
focus,
than a couple weeks. You know what I mean? There's no reason that it can't be brought up. A fucking vote goes down and the end. It's local, yeah? Fuck it. Yo,
well, just like my major thing that I would push everybody on is this is something I've talked about for years, and now it's funny. Everybody else is starting to say the same thing. I said politicians, if they're holding office, do not need to be able to own, operate stocks in any kind of way, not even in a blind trust or with family members. So you want to go for political office, say you will have no ties to any of those things because when you're voting on legislations and you're dealing with this and you write legislations, you there's no way around it. You have insider trader knowledge. You have insider knowledge. And it's a wonder why all of the politicians who only make a certain amount just keep getting richer and richer and making more money than their salary.
yo,
Also, the fact that
do you know
they
who
are able to
Sergio?
keep
Yeah.
their donations and not have to return donations from campaigns.
Yo,
That's the issue, also.
do you know who Sergio Flores is?
Hmm.
Oh, you do? What do you know about Sergio Flores?
Not a lot, but I've definitely seen the name. Let's see, the last couple of months.
Yeah, playing the saxophone?
Hmm.
Oh, you know about that? For real?
The saxophone, yes,
Yo, so honestly,
but
right?
I
Yeah.
don't know much else.
Yo, so what I want to do right now is, right, yeah, for this message right here, we want to make it big time, you know what I mean? And if someone knows Sergio Flores, if Sergio Flores could fucking support this message, that would be fucking incredible. We would like to do a live event with Sergio Flores performing. That would be the fucking shit, okay? I would really appreciate He's already done some political work before. He appeared at some city council meeting where they asked the mayor to resign, right? Yeah? Just so you know, Sergio Flores is super sexy sax man. And what he does is he plays Michael, what's his name?
Michael Bolton.
No. Who's the guy from Wham?
Oh,
Careless Whisper. He plays Careless Whisper. And he's just relentless. He just plays it nonstop. Yeah, you gotta see it. It's fucking classic, yeah? He's perfect to help carry this message. Sergio Flores, I'm begging you, you know what I mean? Who else? If any other musicians want to step up, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? Someone who's cool, you know what I mean? Make it extra, you know what I mean? But Sergio Flores will make it extra, I guarantee it, yeah? I'll play little clips
I
for the
remember.
audience.
what was it? I'm drawing a brain fart right now, but there is somebody that I do know. I remember not that long ago he did a during the campaign he did a Bernie actually rap.
Oh
It
yeah.
was pretty good. And then he started getting into beef with Jason Johnson. It was kind of hilarious.
Who's
But
Jason Johnson?
you don't remember? He's one of the contributors to MSC all the time. He's the one that called Brianna Joy Gray. What was it? Island of Misfit Black Girls.
I don't know.
Do you remember that? Yeah,
I saw him
he
in
got a
something
lot
like
of
that,
trouble
but
behind that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how I look at him is he's just a big kiss ass and what we would call kind of the boule class. He's the person who's there to justify the crappy opinions. And so you have a black face agreeing with it. So black people, so you
What's his
can't
name
say, oh,
again?
well, the black people don't agree.
What's his name again?
It's Dr. Jason Johnson.
Of course, you got to be a doctor too, right? Those are the worst sellouts.
Oh yeah, worse. And he's on a lot of times with another sellout, Joyanne Reed. But yeah, I mean, he's unbearable. And I remember Tim Black was like going back and forth with him for the longest. I mean, but Justin Johnson would just, any little situation that he can hear about, it almost seems like he goes more after anybody who is of the same complexion as him, very hardcore and disagreeing with them and
That's what he's there for.
tiptoe
That's what you said.
on
That's what he's there
people
for.
of a much lighter hue for some weird reason.
That's what you said. That's what he's there for, right? He's there to
Oh,
control
completely.
the narrative.
And what I realize is you have these little kind of gatekeepers all over the place. We'll dip into the little conspiracy theory for y'all. If you're not familiar, look up Prince Hall Freemasons and look up the Divine Nine if you're not familiar with those people. When you start to hear about the Masons and the Illuminati, well, in order to have control over the black community also, well, you got to have an organization within those Masons for the black elite also. That's where the Prince Hall Freemasons come in.
Okay, so you have all this experience with like political like organizations, stuff like that, right? Yeah. Yet somehow you're still a Tulsi supporter. Are you like a third party guy now? Are you Democrat Party? What's going on with you right now in the political game? What about, are you still with the Tulsi movement? What's up, man? What's going on with you?
My thing is, anybody that I see that is trying to do things which I agree with that I consider correct, I will back you. If you go off of that, either to the right or to the left, then I am done with you. I look at all politicians as you were supposed to be my employee, my public servant. You're supposed to work for me. And so if you say you're going to go do something, I expect you to go do it. I don't want to hear the Republicans stopped this or we couldn't get this. Or I don't want to hear that. If you can't get it done, then leave office. That simple. We'll say, you know what? I made a mistake. I couldn't get it done. But don't sit your ass there year after year after year and not get done what you say you were going to get done. If you can't get it done, admit you can't do it and leave. I can respect that. But you want to sit there for 10, 20, 30 years and keep jerking people's chain and telling them that, oh, no. Well, it was this, but if we get this, and oh, no. In the midterms, if we get a couple more Democrats, I don't want to hear any of that bullshit. Because the thing is, I've followed these politicians so hardcore. I've followed their donors. And I know when the rubber meets the road, what they're going to do. For instance, you heard all during the campaign what Bernie was talking about doing. Then when you see these relief bills go up, you see people sitting in cars, wrapped around the corner to soup kitchens.
Let me tell you,
and then
okay.
They play all these games with getting finances out.
Here's one thing that causes a lot of problems, though. So the thing is that when you start to have like government, right? Yeah, I know some people want to go the libertarian route, but the fact of the matter is that you can't stop people from ganging up. Because when you gang up, you have economies of scale. You just become a bigger organization. You become harder to fuck with. You get what I mean? There's definitely advantages to ganging up. And even if you cut loose all the government, people will gang up. Straight up, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So anyways, yeah, so people's ganging up. Now the fact of the matter is that now you have this political party situation where people's, playing these little games and stuff like that. Yeah. So the thing is that you always have this struggle where the people. Okay, so the thing is that, let's say for example, I become in charge of more people. Now a $10 million contract comes in, right? Yeah. Or a $10 million contract will be awarded to someone. So the players in the industry shoot me $1 million, or they invest $1 million in influencing me, right, by making the people around me lives better. Maybe they do a deal, right? Yeah. They don't, unsolicited, right? Yeah. They purchase my brothers, or my sisters, or my families, right, or my friends even. Yeah. They started doing business with them. They started buying a whole bunch of cars from the dealership or something. Right. All of a sudden they're best friends, and all of a sudden they show up and say, "Oh, guess what? Yeah, we're not really your friends. We're here to say we're gonna cut this shit off unless you fucking you're gonna talk to fucking Ed or what." These motherfuckers pop up all over the place, putting pressure on everything. Yeah, and we as the people have to fight against it. Honestly, I think Bernie got shook down, bro. I think that he's scared.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the reason why I don't touch him anymore, because I realize whether it's from cowardice, whether it's from cooperation, whether it's from fear, and it might be fear of some kind of evidence that they have on him. Maybe it's not evidence they have on him. Maybe it's a family member, which is embarrassing. Or maybe it could be something where they're like, "Hey,
I think
we might do something to you." So I mean, I don't know what it could be, but I
think what they did to Tulsi is clear, right? Yeah.
Where he got obviously shook.
Tulsi's an example of
right.
Yeah.
Shook.
Tulsi's an example of what happens to you if you go against the party.
Well, what I see with Tulsi is, this is part of what started me researching some of the things. I realized Tulsi kind of realized that it's like she walked around, she hears the water rushing, and she's like, "I want to go and help and stop this flooding water." She goes around the corner to be able to stop it, and she puts one hand in the hole and another finger, and then she started realizing, "Oh my God, all the way up to the ceiling, there's holes leaking." And she starts realizing, "Oh wow, this might be a little bit bigger than I realized I could deal with." And so I might need to do a little step back and do a little bit of reassessing. And so that's what I kind of feel like with Tulsi. Not that she got scared away or pushed away or intimidated, that she's like, "Wait a minute, I gotta be smarter about this. This is more massive of a problem than I realized was going on."
I think that really her supporters need to give her more base on the ground, need to really give her a movement that she can really use to start implementing these changes. We're getting our asses whooped by Justice Democrats. They have so many people ready to make phone calls, ready to go, donating all the time. You know what I mean? Tulsi has like a nice base right there of people that are on Tulsi locals, like chipping in. But we need to activate somehow, like get some merch out there or something. We need to really crank and make fucking stupendous things happen now.
Well, hopefully I don't fearmonger people too much, but and I guess you've already kind of sensed that I'm kind of an eccentric kind of person, got a lot of things going on. So I guess I'll just put it out there. In the Bible, it says that the end days will be like the days of Noah. And in the days of Noah, everybody were going out, having a good time, getting married, business, politics, everything the same way, trying to just move on with things and not noticing that a big cataclysm was coming. And I look at like a lot of the foreign policy movements that are going on, and it's almost like, man, we were so close to being able to do something, but it seems like, in Florida, most of the clubs used to close around 2:00 when I was in Jacksonville. So it's like 1:30. The lights are coming on and it's closing time, and get that last drink because it's about time to shut down. And so all the plans that we might have had worked out for, let's say 50 to 100 years, I think that might be a little bit overestimation on the time that we have left on this game clock.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. Might as well go down swinging.
I mean, not saying that because how I understand things is, okay, a lot of bad has gotta happen before the good happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So gotta have all that bad stuff happen, but in the end, it says there's going to be no war anymore. There'll be plenty of food. There'll be happiness. There'll be no more tears. There'll be no more mourning. all of these things go away in this new period, in this new time period. What they call in the Bible, the millennial period.
How do you feel that?
When that rulership comes.
How do you feel? How will you feel when you're in heaven and I'm not there?
Well, the difference is everybody will be there in a sense.
You sure?
Because as a Hebrew Israelite, our understanding of heaven and hell is very different than most Christians.
Isn't it eternal
I
sleep?
understand.
Isn't it eternal sleep?
See, we understand everything as a little bit more literal. When it says that we will go through what when we'll get our judgment when we live again, how we interpret that is, yeah, there will be destructions and wars and all these things will happen. And some people will get the second death, meaning
it's gonna be me.
They're just done. They're
gonna be me.
donezo,
I'm donezo.
So they won't exist anymore.
I'm donezo.
And then some people, they're not gonna be that lucky to just be done. Some people, for all the horrible shit that they've done,
bro.
they're gonna have to literally suffer. In the Bible, what is it? What was it? Romans. In the book of Romans,
I done suffered enough. Damn it.
It talks about. It says he that leadeth into captivity must go into captivity. So for all those nations who ran people into captivity, that person, when they're brought up, they're going back into a form of literal captivity, bondage.
Yeah.
And so all those people who did all those shitty things, that stuff is going to be recompensed upon their own head. And it says, at that time, then other people, after all that stuff, then they'll have their time to be able to, get in line, and be able to have all those benefits and blessings. But if you lived shitty and you did a lot of shitty stuff,
my only complaint is I don't
want to be Bill Gates.
My only complaint is my whole life I lived with the people that was kicked out. So, you know what I mean? I can only relate to the people that was kicked out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But what people don't understand about the Bible is they've taken it that Israelite that's just some kind of spiritual thing. No, it's physical bloodline descendancy, and a lot of the stuff it talks about will be dealt with through.
I'm not mad at that.
As your nations.
I'm not mad at that.
So whatever.
I have no.
It talks about because it says the Israelites will be spread amongst the heathen or the strangers. So
I do what I think is right. That's God's truth, man.
We're all in forms of captivity. I mean, all the Israelites, whatever, all different shapes and forms they're in, are going to be in forms of captivity. So whatever types of oppression that they're going through, that's a sign of an Israelite. It talks about that the gospel is to bound up the brokenhearted, the ones that are held in prison holes. It talks about all that, the widow. It talks about that's what that part, the meek shall inherit the earth.
People break. People break after a while. You cannot expect people to be, fucking like super, people. You know what I mean? Eventually, people will break.
It's going to be a role reversal. Those people who have been on the top, that have been stomping on everybody and micromanaging, basically literally enslaving, us. And even to this day, I mean, think about it. If you're paying taxes and stuff, that's a form of slavery.
I don't believe that anymore.
I mean, even taxes is a form of it if you're forced to. And so, all of these things, because I've honestly believed that what's actually meant for us is to actually be able to have careers and
maybe we should
that we actually love and enjoy versus doing a job or whatever.
Okay. But also, right,
it's whatever to get by.
What about this though? What about this though? Right? Yeah. God says that he'll, like, in the end, right? Yeah, he'll make the rich people poor and the poor people rich. You get what I mean? So in the afterlife, aren't we helping them if we, take away the riches?
Oh yeah, we're going to be helping them. We definitely are going to help them.
Oh damn!
We're going to help them get a whole new lease on life. And if you are, if you are one of those who are blessed, who are oppressed by those people, like it says, everybody had to drink a cup of judgment. Basically, talking about the nations. Everybody's had to drink their cup of judgment. If your nation did not receive some cup of judgment, then a cup of judgment is coming to your nation.
Why should we leave it to God to take care of it when we can take care of it ourselves? Why is it?
He says he's. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is why I laugh at kind of like the Christian church, because they're all this, love, love, love. It literally says the Israelites are the Most High's battle axe. it says in that time, all of the memories of all the stuff that you went through, previous lives, all that subjugation, and then who the people are who did it to you, all of that knowledge is all going to come back. We're going to know who did what to who. And then you're going to have the power to be able to recompense that on those people. Imagine if you're
That is a
able to
Christian
see
way. That is a
the
Christian
people
warrior.
that's the real Christian warrior. The people
sword.
who, for your ancestors, which they, slaughtered or did this or robbed or attacked, all those things, you're going to be able to recompense that back on them. That's how I understand the Bible. And so when I understood that, no, all these people don't just get to do all this fucked up shit and just get away with it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. I'll deal with it. Keep inflicting me. Go on ahead. Keep inflicting me, because all of that's coming right back to you.
Why not be the one to do it?
Well, see, the thing, if you're the one to do it before Judgment Day, the difference is it says that judgment that was put on the Israelites, who they go through.
Fuck it.
That
I could live with that.
Was doing it.
I could live with that.
And that nation is
forgiven.
That double. They getting the double cup though. You
don't
want the
me?
Double cup.
Who, me?
What I'm saying is they're going to get 1,000 years. They were able to benefit from 500. They're going to get 1,000 years of the punishment.
I don't need them 1,000 years. Goddamn, that's crazy. That's crazy. Just eat it here. To be a fucking, what the fuck? I don't need 1,000 years. That's ridiculous.
But you got to remember, for those who were getting persecuted.
If I felt 1,000 years of punishment, I would become very angry, and I'd probably come out changed. I'd probably come out like a fucking demon.
Well, here's the messed up part. I'm not gonna say which group of people it is in there. I'll let you all do your biblical searching. But it says after that captivity, a group, one of those nations that's going to be in that captivity and subjugation, will be destroyed after it. All of them, that whole entire ethnicity, nationality of people will be wiped out.
What if I'm one of them?
I doubt you're one of them, but
it could
if
be
you're one of them,
you could be born to that shit. You could be born to that shit.
That's what I'm saying. We all could end up being one of those.
Who knows?
So for whoever is into that, well, I'm pretty certain that I'm not, but because I
don't know.
I understand myself to fit the curses, and like I could say that I probably fit easily like 100 different curses that are in the Bible that would be on the Israelites. So that's how I know who I am.
Word up, man.
And also I can trace the archaeology too, and maps. It's not that hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I mean, especially you start looking into like Puerto Rico, where there was over 800 stones which are found. 8,000 artifacts altogether found, Hebrew artifacts that were found pre-Columbus. You have the Los Lunas stone in New Mexico, where there's just artifacts all over the Americas. Peru is like extremely rich.
God also says our mind should be free, like the grasshopper, right?
Well, it says that we need to be also trying to discern the times. A wise man needs to be prudent towards the events getting towards the end, and be trying to prepare and endure to the end. Because there's going to be a time when it says that there's going to be war between
what about the number?
Sons and
neighbors. What about the number in the forehead or the hands? What about that number?
About the mark of the beast.
What you think? You think the mark of the beast is upon us? You think we're about to put it on us?
I think it's coming very soon.
You think we maybe already is on us?
It's already actually.
Is that a social security number?
They actually have it. They actually already have it. Some people are voluntarily doing it, but when it gets to the point of being forced, like the Bible says it'll be, because it says you'll have to receive a mark in your hand or in your forehead.
Isn't that social security card?
You will not be able to buy. Well,
you can't work, or you can't
You won't be able to buy. You won't be able to sell. You won't be able to do anything. Literally, you won't be able to come into cities. You won't be able to rent. You won't be able to do anything. You will have to take this mark at some point in time. And I did on the Political Matrix. I showed where this guy, I believe, was in Portugal, where he already had the mark imprinted in his right hand, and he had his banking information on it. He had his phone on it. All of these different things were connected. His car, he can just walk up, put his hands on his car. His car opens. It starts all off of this chip.
What if it's our phones, cell phones?
Well, the cell phones are the first start. It always, it has to go advanced in stages. And that's the next stage. And then think about it. Once Bitcoin goes on, it's not that hard to transfer everything more electronic. I mean, you see right now with COVID, a lot of places are not even taking cash.
I don't understand why Bitcoin can't be 51% attacked, like at any time. If these financial institutions want to just swarm in with all their billions of dollars and just want to turn over fucking Bitcoin overnight with one fucking swoop, they could say, fuck you, Bitcoin, we just took over. Can't
exactly.
they?
And
how much is Bitcoin worth?
I saw something that it was up like 60% the other day. So
even though, right? Yeah, they can borrow the money from each other. They can make up the money from the government. You know what I mean? Yeah, they can buy Bitcoin. If they can just make up money, they can print more money and just buy Bitcoin. Like, what the fuck?
Well, at that point, it's just a matter of adding zeros and decimal points because there's nothing backing it. There's no actual gold. There's no actual physical currency.
Some weirdo shit. Who knows what the fuck is going on?
Well, I often wonder how much money do our governments actually even really have? How much of it is just, hey, we need tax money, and then that tax money is going to all these private companies, whether it's the military industrial complex or whatever else, which they're just throwing money, pharmaceutical, whatever, and they're just tossing them our tax dollars. And as we see, our streets, our roads, our bridges are falling apart. Education, we're dropping in education. And we're looking at
you heard about India, right?
The quality of life in America is just dropping.
India India outlawed Bitcoin. You heard about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they're saying you have to use the Indian cryptocurrency. You cannot use Bitcoin.
So now it's starting the cryptocurrency war, I guess. Because it's going to be every nation is going to start coming up with their different versions.
How long until the U.S. comes up with this stupid rule? If they wanted this cash cow, can they resist themselves? Can they stop themselves?
They can't. I literally already saw something about the Federal Reserve who they're working on they're already working on Bitcoin for the Federal Reserve.
They can't stop themselves.
I almost forgot. I'd be remiss if I didn't remember this, but Joe Biden, if you go and look back to an interview, Joe Biden was literally talking about we're going to be legislating on the RFID chip. I believe it's like 2008. And he's talking about it there. Yeah. Now, that same chip that we're talking about, it says that in the Bible. It literally says, if you translate it into, I believe it's the Greek, it's charagma, which it means, to be, put inside the skin. So it's telling you that, yes. And this was written, like 3,000 years ago? Somebody was telling you that, yes, you're going to need to have something stuck in your hand and you're not going to be able to buy and sell without it. So it's weird to me, some of the stuff which I see it. Like, for instance, it literally talks about a weapon that is going to destroy a whole entire nation. And the people's eyes and their tongues are going to melt in their sockets.
Do you think that the U.S. has evidence of aliens?
I wouldn't say they're aliens, but I would say of crafts that are not of this celestial, body. I would definitely say that, yes.
All right, cool, man. All right, dude. It's getting kind of late, man. Honestly, I'm ready to pass out, bro. But it was cool fucking rapping with you. Gonna bring you on soon for some more talking, yeah? Make sure you check out that Yang video, man. It's fucking super cray, bro. I think you'll enjoy it,
yeah, definitely.
I love it when Tupac kicks in.
And then off camera, I want to, I'll call you up. I got your number. I'll just drop some more of this information, that I've studied and found in the Bible that I think you might find pretty interesting. So
I'd rather do it on camera. I'd rather do it on camera to share with the world, man. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We can,
I got a limited time on this earth. You know what I mean? Want to share that knowledge.
We can share it with them. We can share it with them.
Share it.
I mean, because some of the stuff, like I tell you, when you start reading in the Bible, it's not for the faint of heart. It really is not. I mean, it's like, I'll give you one of the craziest things. So this is a warning. If you are not prepared for this kind of very crucial content, then I'll give you about 5 seconds to just tune out for about 30 seconds. Well, just mute yourself, cover your ears, whatever.
I'll say one quick
There's a
story right
part-
here, right? Okay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's a point in the Bible where I think Moses is on a hill, and then when he waves his hand one way, one side's winning, and he waves his hand the other way, the other side's winning.
Yep.
Just like that, people are dying out there, dying
Mm-hmm.
just by the wave of a hand. So that's how cheap life can be in this world, for real. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
Well, what it
Yeah.
is he's trying to keep the staff up, and as
Yeah.
he keeps the staff up,
Yeah.
the Israelites have more power and are able to be stronger in battle because
Yeah.
they're channeling that power from the Most High God.
Yeah.
But when he gets tired and starts dropping it, then they start losing. So yeah, that's exactly correct. One of the stories, it says that when the Israelites are regaining power, part of that ugly period where the judgment and stuff is happening, it's saying that the children of Israel will be empowered and they will be the ones physically doing a lot of this stuff with basically heavenly bodies. So it'll be like Superman all running around just wrecking the hell out of their enemies, and most of them not even gonna have a clue what the hell is happening and why. But one of the things it says in there, it says, happy is it that dashes their little ones' heads against the stones. So it's saying in that time, they're going to be slamming babies' heads against stones.
It's gonna be a crazy time.
I'm like, I don't know what kind of anger, what kind of spirit of anger that God has, that how pissed off he is that he's going to put that in us to do that to certain people.
This is actually attacks on children are more common in China, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, the thing is that in China with the one-child policy, the child is worth more. It's a larger investment, and also like it kind of destroys the retirement plan. Also, the thing is that the a lot of people, that's their whole pass on. That's the whole idea. Yeah, so that's a chilling statement right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's certain stuff in there where it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
wow. It talks about like when I said that one part where it talks about a weapon that now it says Mystery Babylon is going to be destroyed, completely destroyed within an hour. It's now I don't know what weapon that they knew of in that time, and it talks about how the archers, that their right arm is strong, and when their bows go off, that they won't come back, and Mystery Babylon will be utterly destroyed. And talks about that weapon, when it goes off, that the people's eyes and their tongues melt. To me, the only thing that can be talking about is a nuclear weapon. And the countries which it names the country of Gog and Magog being the country that would possibly fire that weapon. Now, if you look into who Gog and Magog are, that would be the nation of Moscow in Russia. Now, the fact that it was predicting Moscow, Russia, and it even predicts China, and accounts going on in Iran, the end time events being the same thing that we see that are forming right now in the real world. Well,
Yeah, do you know of any videos that kind of lay out this whole this whole map right here?
I can do a little bit of research and get back to you, but yeah, I definitely got plenty that I could show you.
I'll see if I can find some on my own. This is an interesting deep dive. I wonder if those things are still around.
Oh yeah, I mean,
They might be suppressed by now. Some Adventism, I wonder if they suppressed our stuff.
Well, the thing is, Hebrew Israelites, a lot of them are resilient. You're going to have many different camps with many different schools of philosophy. So anybody who doesn't agree or automatically tries to assume that I believe the same as every single, Hebrew Israelite, or have the same approach, it's not accurate. And be careful trying to get into debates with Hebrew Israelites. And I'll tell you the reason why is because whereas most people have probably read a little bit of the Bible, pretty much every Hebrew Israelite that you're going to run across has probably read the whole entire Bible, and also has studied a great amount of ancient history, archaeology, and a ton of other things, etymology of words, possibly Greek, Hebrew, and other things. So be careful of just assuming that random person on the street corner
I lose a lot
might
of
not
focus
know
at the
anything.
end when there's just those like letters from the churches. I'm like, why? You know what I mean? Do you know anything
See,
about
yeah,
that?
they don't even get into any of that. Hebrew Israelites is going to be, for the most part, just straight scriptures.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
going to
no,
give you
no, no.
scriptures.
Yeah,
And you have a
okay.
question, they got a scripture to answer it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, literally on almost anything. You can be like, okay, well, what is it on how you should treat a pet? And it's literally, they can find a verse
It's
for
a
it.
cool
I
discussion for
mean,
Sunday, but oh my goodness, I gotta get to sleep, man. This is
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
I,
we got
I
to
I
get to
have no
sleep.
more
And
stamina,
then
man. Yeah.
And then you're also welcome if you want to jump in my live stream. I will add you
Oh, I'd love
to
to.
my message from my
Hell yeah.
co-host.
Oh, thank you.
And Sunday we'll have the panel going for what we've been thinking. We're gonna be talking about some Biden stuff and
I'd be honored.
the
Thank you.
Royals. It'll be fun. So yeah, I'll put you. I'll send you the link, brother.
Thank you so
It'll
much.
be
I'd be
what about
honored. I'd be honored.
was it 2:30 Pacific? So get you some rest.
Cool, man. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, all right? Thank
Alrighty.
you.
All right.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
Truth of these
We are
words
on all
is
the major
beyond
platforms.
doubt.
That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute and Daily Motion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action Group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get up with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it and you could hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos, make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.